Welcome everyone to the second episode of the Lissen podcast, and today we're joined by Rafael
Thank you.
Varela from
Correct. That's a
Argentina, correct?
really, really good pronunciation from your part.
Mi familia vive al lado de la frontera
Oh, mira,
franco-española,
hablas español.
pues
Ah, mira,
yo hablo español.
buenísimo. Bueno, but I think we're
Yeah,
gonna
but
speak English
we
now.
yeah, like it's like we can do it in Spanish, but like for
Uh,
now I'm gonna try to
I
speak to
trust,
the English
I trust
audience
my
and
English. I
after
trust my English.
translation.
Maybe I don't know. Some concepts are a little difficult. You can help me out, but I trust my English.
I'm sure it's gonna be totally all right. So thanks a lot for joining us. And do you want to introduce yourself and say what you're doing? And so like this, we can get
Okay,
in the
well, I'm
conversation.
Rafael Varela. Yes, I am Argentinian. I'm a musician. I'm a producer. I'm a podcaster as well. I have a podcast that is, I don't know, pretty well known here in Argentina and maybe in Spain also and South America in general. And well, I produced it, many recordings here in the last I don't know 20 years. And I have also my solo career with two recordings that you can hear in Spotify also. But my main job it's producing other artists.
Okay, that's awesome. So this it means like we can have like
I
10,000
know,
topics, so
I
we
know,
can
I know.
start jumping in. So the first one, what I really like understanding from most people is like how you arrived in music, right? Did you have another job before? Was it just some kind of a childhood passion, or did you just fall into it by pure coincidence? How did you arrive from the moment you just like, I love music to, okay, now I think it can be a career, I can put food on
Okay,
the
I
table
understand.
with this?
My mom is a very well-known singer here in Argentina. It's one of the most, I don't know, famous tango singers. So when I was a kid, music was always in the family, you know. So I I was 6, 7, 8 years old, and I was used to musicians being at home and maybe go to recordings when my mom didn't find someone to take care of us when she had to go to the studio or some gigs. So I was kind of I don't know in the music scenario when I was a kid, and after that, maybe when I was 10, I got a friend that lent me a recording from the Beatles, and well, my life changed. Yeah. Um, well,
What song?
all the songs. I think maybe the first I loved when I was a kid was Twist and Shout, but I had
Uh-huh.
like a compilado, we say in Spanish, like a greatest hits, great.
Yeah.
Yes, a compilation,
Compilation.
and it was I don't know. She loves you, please please me. I wanna hold your hand, and all little hits, and my life changed. It, and I found out that I will be a musician, and I knew it. So I asked my mom to buy a guitar for me. She did, and I started taking lessons. And when I was 12, 2 years later, I already knew that would be my profession.
Wow, so cool. And so then after I don't know, uni and stuff, and then you start working on your own. And so you have your own recordings. So you're a performer yourself, and your main
Produce, yeah,
activity is
that's
producing.
correct.
Correct. Okay. So we should like say how we met because I backpacked in Argentina back in 2018, but we
Really? Didn't know
didn't
that.
meet at that time.
Where
We
you
met through
been?
Instagram. Yeah, I was all over Latin America. I was there
That's
for
great.
more than a
You
year
been
and
in
a half.
Patagonia and
I
Buenos
started,
Aires.
yeah,
It's a beautiful
everywhere.
country, right?
Buenos Aires. Yes, yeah. Like I had a fantastic time, and I was just like started from Mexico and went down the Pacific coast with my best
That's
mate, just
amazing.
like surfing and dancing salsa, basically. And then from yeah, then after we went back up on the
That's
Atlantic
amazing.
coast and finished Latin America in on the Rio
Oh,
Carnival before going to
you
the U.S.
party. So you,
So
you learn
yeah,
to party in
so
Brazil. That's a lot.
the parties in Brazil are
Yes,
definitely something
indeed,
else.
indeed.
It's it was cool, but I also enjoyed in
Oh,
Argentina
Córdoba, yeah.
Cordoba. It was yeah, yeah. So yeah,
That's
like
great.
overall. But yeah, we basically met through social networks, which is really funny because it's going to be the theme of this podcast. Like I don't know the people before like this. We have genuine,
I think
honest
it's
first
very interesting.
conversation,
The you
which I
know
really like.
the way you put it in your feed in Instagram. I found it very interesting because the topics you choose to speak about are really important topics now in the in the business of music.
I yeah, I agree. I'm a bit biased. I totally agree. Like the first one, we call it music, AI, and dopamine, and everyone said like that should be like the main themes, of this podcast. Which again we do to be sure that we give a platform to everyone to speak about music totally freely because we're gonna
Hmm.
launch our own platform. So I guess that the good transition from here is like now that you do music and you produce. So I guess you're credited as a
Yes.
songwriter producer, so you get some publishing royalties, and you also know what it is like to get some
Yes.
recording royalties, right? So
Yes.
you've seen
Yes.
both sides,
Correct.
right? So at, one of the things I start by asking to everyone, and like you've been on my profile, so I guess that you might have seen like the famous,
Yes.
not famous, like
Yeah.
the ping pong ball
I did.
videos, right? Where I'm playing monkey trying to explain. But before that, were you aware about how all these DSPs, all these music platforms right now, were distributing fans' money? Were you aware about how your fans' money was being routed
Yeah,
to you or not?
actually, not that much. I only that part of the of the business was maybe the part that I'm not good at. I always like all musicians. I'm focusing in chords and arrangements and playing and the artistic part of the business and especially in this time I'm 44, so I grew like preparing for another way of earning money with my music because when I was 20 it was different, when I was 30 it was different. So it is difficult, I find difficult. That's why I found your what you speak about in your social media. I found it very interesting because I think for my generation it's not easy to go with the flow of the new platforms, of the new ways of earning what we deserve for a work. So no, I always found a little difficult that part, and I always had someone that helped me with that because I was focused on music. So I had here my recording sello discográfico. I don't know how to say it in English. Well, the how do you say the recording?
Recording session.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. Like
No,
a
not the
studio.
studio. The people that manage my songs, my recordings. Yeah, my label.
Ah,
That's
your
that's the
label.
word. I always had someone in my label that helped me with that part. But I think it's very important
Get it?
for new generations and for my generation also to be aware of what is happening now with our work.
Yeah, like it is really, yeah, like so the whole point is that yeah, the whole world runs on pro rata, or now they call it artist-centric, which is a weird way of redistributing money according to a certain set of standards
Yeah.
determined by other people. But yeah, like one of the thing because I don't want, otherwise I'm talking too much about this royalty model that in my opinion is super important.
It
Because the
is.
whole point is that normally the your fans' money. If I listen to two artists, if I listen to Drake
Yeah.
and Rafael, I want my money to go to both of them, not to someone I don't know. So that kind of makes sense, but that's what we're trying to push with Listen, but it doesn't exist anywhere else. But I guess one of the things I was curious about is that I read, so you guys like, I like to mix a bit of
It's okay.
politics and different things, right? But before the last election that you had, before that, there was some kind of, it seems to me, at least from the news, that the Argentinian government was involved in a tax that they were trying to put on music
Yeah,
streaming
that's
platforms.
correct.
Is it correct?
Yeah.
Because France and Canada, okay. So was it
Yes, it
implemented?
was implemented before. I don't know with the new government. The new government here it's being a little hush. It's really, I don't know if you are aware of what kind of government we are having now, but it's a little difficult. It's changing. It's trying to change all the laws in the, especially when it's related to U.S. money or European money, and not pesos argentinos. So I don't know how it's working now. They are all changing. They're trying to change everything. But before, yes, it was implemented, and not just in music, but in, yeah, I
Yeah.
think in every platform, also in Netflix and all the platforms.
Because one of the things that I think I didn't, yeah, we heard about, yeah, like your new government, and like before that, so what I think I failed to understand maybe from the news that I get in Europe about that was that if I understood properly, like with that tax, Spotify said we're going to withdraw from Argentina because
Yeah.
economically it would not make sense, right? What I failed
Yeah.
to get at that time is that the government got involved to try to make
Yeah.
them come back. Meanwhile, you still had
Yeah.
YouTube Music that was,
Yeah.
and Deezer, for example, and these two platforms were still in Argentina. So, and they really offer similar services than Spotify. So I guess that I failed to understand why the government would be involved in ensuring that Spotify specifically stays a private corporation that provides a service that is not like, I mean, music is super important, but it's not running water, right? Like
Yeah.
running water, you have one pipe. Music, in that case, you had other competing services that were able
Yeah.
to provide that service. So, do you know why specifically it seems like the government wanted Spotify to stay?
I don't know exactly. We should ask the government, but I imagine, if I have to guess, that the last government wanted to regulate everything that is happening with platforms and with artistic rights. What I understand is that they didn't did it well, but they tried. But honestly, I don't know exactly why they tried to do that, especially with Spotify and not with Deezer and YouTube Music and Apple Music and other platforms. I guess it has something to do with Spotify Argentina. We have our own part in Spotify, of course, like Spotify Argentina, and the change, the dollar and pesos was always very complicated last years. So I think it has to do with some business that they're trying to do. But I honestly, I don't know.
So we agree that it doesn't
No,
seem to make
no, it
sense
doesn't.
from
It
scratch,
doesn't.
at least. Okay. Because I was like, maybe there is a feature that no one else has that I'm not aware of, specifically in Argentina. In that case, I
No,
need
no.
to know
Maybe it is.
about
I don't
this
know.
feature.
I don't know. But
Okay.
I think that it was they tried to make something that no, I'm just guessing. I will say nothing really, not true, because I'm just guessing. I really don't know why they did it.
Okay, but I don't know either, so it's fine. I was
No,
just a bit curious thinking
politics
about
in
this.
Argentina and
To
economics in Argentina are difficult to understand, even for Argentinians.
That's what some of my Argentina
Yeah.
friends told me too. So it's like I'm not gonna go into it because I don't know. I'm totally just like tango. I'm really not properly educated about it, so I'm not
Okay.
gonna comment on it. The I think the transition the segue for this would be like to go on to talk about the
Okay.
platforms, right? We talked about the fact that the way they route the money seems a bit
Yeah.
weird, right? But and this is again why I think
In
there is
fiber
something
types,
to
right?
do about it. The other part would be what are the
Yeah.
features on these platforms that you would think are the most useful. For example, at the moment, if you want to release music, I guess you have like three different avenues, right? You have the most common, all you can stream buffet on Spotify. You have a bespoke um, relationship with the artist on Bandcamp, and then you have a new use case that people are experimenting with music
Yes.
NFTs, right? But that's like from most
Yeah.
popular to more niche. At the moment, have you tried with these different
I
types
use,
of releasing
yeah,
music,
I
these
tried
different
all the
ways?
platforms. My label uploads my music in all the platforms. So yeah, I had experience in many of them, maybe all of them.
What distributor do you
My
use?
what I prefer to use. The one I prefer
Yeah.
it's Spotify, but not because I hate or I hate. No, it's not it's not the word. But I don't like the what Spotify does with the music quality. Um, but so I tried to use another one. I don't remember the name now. I used it when I really want to listen to music at the best quality, like working. I use another one. I don't remember the name now, but because I'm too bad with names. But I will tell you. But
But I mean, these are like the platforms. I'm talking
oh
the
yeah,
distributor, like CD Baby, DistroKid. What do you know? What
my
service your
label
label
I
is
think
using
it's
to
using CD
push the
Baby.
music on
Yeah,
this? Got it. Okay.
yeah,
So downtown. Um, so okay, so you have your music. So you say your label pushed it mainly to
yeah,
DSPs, right?
yeah,
Digital service platforms. But have you
yeah.
tried Bandcamp
I did.
or
Yeah.
music NFTs, for example? What were your results with
Um,
this?
I think it was good for because I'm in touch. First of all, it's free, and that's really good. And many I found that there are listeners that use Bandcamp, and they kind of like it. It's like they Bandcamp users. So I found that really interesting. But to be honest, I think it's not easy to if you are with a cell phone in the street and you want to just quickly find some recording or some music, maybe Spotify, it's a little easier for use. But I don't know, maybe it's because I was really it I was used to use Spotify 10 years, I don't know, it's difficult to change it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I like Bandcamp.
They
I
have.
found that it's a nice option.
I think yeah, Bandcamp definitely provides a certain way to access music that
Yeah,
is very original. And have you also tried
Patreon. Yeah,
Patreon?
but not in with my music, but with my podcast. Yeah,
On Patreon. So on Patreon, you would have your followers and you would put bespoke, dedicated episodes that only your followers on
yeah,
Patreon could
that's correct.
listen to. Okay, so the gatekeeping would be with money or with getting your
Yeah,
email address,
yeah.
and then you can access.
The specific
Okay,
content.
get it. Okay. And so, with the artists that you're working with, for example, at the minute, what would you say is the most reliable business model? Because
Yeah,
what I've heard so far, right, is that it seems like Spotify
yeah.
right now is mainly marketing.
No,
You don't make
you
money
don't.
there as an artist. Bandcamp, you can make oh, go right. Bandcamp, you can make some money, right? If you manage to make 500 bucks, 1,000 bucks a year, that's already great. But it's very difficult to bring
Yeah,
in
to the
users
platform. That's
to
correct. Yeah,
Bandcamp, right? So there is like a customer
yeah,
acquisition friction that is annoying because there's a pot where everyone go and listen to music, which is the DSP, and then you have these side services like Bandcamp or Patreon that are trying to give you a way to go direct to consumer and to make
yeah,
decent money, but you lose your customers
yeah.
because they have to
Correct.
change platform,
I
correct?
agree.
Okay. And so when I was in Latin America, for example, I realized that I really like
Yeah,
salsa,
salsa
salsa
cubana.
cubana, right? I realized that some of these groups they were still selling their music on
Yeah, that's
USB
true.
sticks when I was there because they don't trust at all like what's happening with
Yeah,
streaming and on the internet. And they would also do Bandcamp eventually, right? But do you have the same kind of um, reluctance to put your music online in Argentina also, or is it something I saw it definitely in like North Latin America,
yeah.
right, or
Okay.
around Colombia? But is it more or less the same in Argentina? The fact that oh, if we put our music online, people are gonna extract money from us or from our fan base so we don't trust it. Let's stay
I understand.
offline,
I think it
basically.
has to do with maybe with the genres and with the and especially with the age of the people that is making the music. For example, tango musicians aren't using Bandcamp or even Spotify as much as pop Argentinian pop musicians or rock musicians, because I don't know, maybe pop and rock musicians are close to the computer and are more, likely to take to listen to music in the phone or something like that. Maybe tango musicians and folklore musicians, that it's the genres that are inside Argentina. Tango is mostly from Buenos Aires and also Uruguay. But inside the country, it's a really big country. There are many, many other musical genres, and in that, it's called folklore. And in folklore, also, it's a little difficult for the musicians to use them. I think they don't trust. Maybe they don't. They maybe because also it's Argentina. It's not and South America in general. It's not really technological. We are a little behind Europe and the US in using phones and in using platforms. So for that kind of musicians, I think they even they also we are here still talking about of making CDs or not making CDs, which I think it's really it's like a stupid. I don't know where to put a CD in my house. Maybe in the car, but maybe in the car. But there
Yeah.
are many people that like the object, so they're trying to find a way of making music, of producing the music they made outside the platforms. So yeah, maybe I think it's not I don't know. It's in the whole scenario here in Argentina, in the music scenario, musicians and producers. I think that maybe pop singers and Latin singers in urban music, reggaeton and trap singers and musicians are ahead. The platforms are using the platforms better, and maybe the other musicians are a little behind. I, I explained
Behind.
myself well.
Okay. So, so
Sorry, my English.
yeah, yeah, no, no. So basically, it's a
I think it's a
generational
generation. Yeah. For
stuff
example,
for
for
you.
me
Like,
it was difficult. As I told you, I'm 44. When I started using platforms. I remember MySpace when I was like 25, 20 years ago. So I try to be, with the flow of internet and platforms, but I find it a little difficult because when I was, 15 and 20, I was dreaming to be a musician. I always dreamed of making, CDs or recordings, actual recordings that you can touch and put in your library, so it was difficult to change to digital to something that you cannot touch, that it's in the computer, it's in the cloud, and if the computer turns off, you can't listen to your music. So I think it's still it's something about that. It's still happening in here. I think in Buenos Aires especially.
okay, get it. And so, what would like the
Yeah,
successful bands, for example? That means that they still go the old school way. Like you need to sign with a
yeah,
label, and the label will ensure that you are played at the
yeah,
radio, and so on and
yeah.
so on.
And I think that
Oh,
is
okay.
making
So,
it's
okay.
I want that to change. We want that to change. We all do.
Yeah. Okay, get it. And so, but do you think, well, so okay, so the market
Yeah,
is really different. That being said, you have Argentinian
yeah,
bands or singers that are
yeah,
being successful worldwide, right? And so you say the only way for them to actually do this, because the landscape is not digitalized enough
yeah,
in Argentina, potentially, like they have still to go through
yeah,
the big labels or through certain gatekeepers to basically say, I give you
yeah,
80% of my IP, and so in exchange you make me a big star, and like this I will be able to play concerts around the world, which is where I'm
Yeah,
actually
with
going to make money.
with some exceptions, of course, but mostly, yeah, that's the way. Um, yeah,
So the one that interests me, like when you talk about
yeah.
the folklore people, right? Genre and people and artists in it, how do they maintain the connection with their fan base
Uh,
right now? If they want to keep in touch, like how do you know when they are going to play live, when a new album is going out? Because are they independent or are they signed with big
no,
labels
maybe
also?
the most important are signed with the label. Maybe but not many. Like I don't know, the two most important artists, for example, of folklore, maybe three most important artists. But then everyone is like half and a half. For example, last year I offered an album that I produced from an artist here to a to a big company, and they told me, okay, if you the artist was a very well known artist, but no matter that
Hmm.
the company didn't matter, and told me, okay, we are glad to take your artist and your recording, but we won't put any money. You produce it by yourself. The artist produced the recording by himself, with his own money, and then the company that it is a very well known company that it's worldwide, and the company said, okay, we will distribute that, and we will make the press, and we will take charge of moving the the marketing part. Maybe can I say of the recording, but not paying for the recording, for the studio hours and the musicians and the artist that is making the cover. It's not didn't they don't pay for that, so it's like half and a half.
And what would they? Oh, 50-50. So they say if you take care
Yeah,
about all the production cost, we take care about the marketing, and we share
yeah,
50-50 the
with
recording.
some exceptions, mostly is that way. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think
No,
it's a
I
fair
don't.
deal?
But I think that it has some interesting. It's interesting. I don't know. I find interesting to produce my own music, and not to have, and I don't need no company to put it to show it to the world, and I find that interesting. And I'm always trying. I always
Yeah.
try to take advantage of that. I think it's not easy because there are many artists and there are millions of people making content, musical, artistic content in the internet. So it's difficult to compete. But I find myself a little more comfortable with this situation that with the situation 30 years ago, that I had to go with my demo recording and knock doors and say, okay, please, do you listen to my demo recording? Are you interested in what I do? No, blah. Okay, I'm gonna try next year. I don't know. I think but I think that it has to evolve.
There's still a
Yeah,
positive
but I think
evolution.
it's still evolving, and it has to evolve in a better way. I think we musicians have to be more aware of the way that music it's what that's what I hear you too in your Instagram. You speak about. We musicians have to be more aware and own better our own music, and I think that it's still
Yeah.
evolving, and it's not the same in Europe than in South America, because there are different economical realities and, well, many political realities, but in general I think it has to evolve, and it's evolving, but to evolve in the way that we really need to. I think it's important for people like you, people like, well, other people that we musicians speak about this, and try to find something better, something that help us to earn our money the way that it has to be.
So right now, is it fair to say that you still need these big entities to help you
Yeah,
promote yourself then? Because you have the ability, the cost of production dropped a bit, but it's still not inexistent. but you have a cost of production, so but at least you can be independent on that. Like back in the
You
days,
continue.
indeed, you
Yeah,
could not even
that's true.
record on
That's true.
your own, right? So there's still a cost, but you can at least
Yeah,
do it independently. Now the problem is because there's so much music out there,
yeah,
how do you
that's true.
market yourself? And even if you market yourself, the issue, my opinion, is that it's just a one-off. So for example, even now, imagine you arrive, create your album, uh,
Yeah.
upfront the cost, right? You front the cost of the production of your
Yes.
next album. It makes sense. Then you retain more ownership on
Mm-hmm.
it, on the IP. When you are asking a
Yeah.
company to support you, they make an investment on you, like because they're going to spend time marketing you, for example. So that would make sense that they ask for some money, and because they make a bet, they don't know if the crowd and the
Yeah.
audience is going to like it. But and at the moment, the state of the market is take
Yeah.
care of all the production costs. If we do the promotion, the marketing with you that
Yeah.
we can do, that you can't, we
Yeah.
take 50-50,
Well,
right?
maybe
We
that
take a
50-50 you
50%
can,
of.
it depends on the artist. If you, I don't know, if you are if you're a pop artist or you're a,
Yeah,
I don't know, reggaeton and trap are really on the top right now here. So if you make that kind of music, maybe they share a little more. If you're a tango musician, maybe they share a little
yeah,
less.
which makes sense
Yeah.
because it's a gamble. They don't know for sure that they're gonna get
Yeah.
50% of
Yeah, but I think that
10,000
but what I
or
think it's
1,000.
happening here, and that's my point of view. It's not something objective. It's my point of view, and I'm speaking especially in Argentina and maybe in South America, but especially in Argentina, is that the economical problems are so big that to make an investment, it's really more difficult than it may be in Europe or in US or in some
Yeah,
other place. So people that make investments, companies or maybe also producers, um, they don't take much risks. So if you're yeah,
yeah. That well, yeah.
it
That makes
does.
sense. So what would be then for you the next step? So again, back in the days, we take sometimes
Yeah.
all your IP, right, or like 80% of uh,
Yeah.
your royalties, because we front all the costs, right? So let's imagine the risk factor evolved, and now you're just like, okay, because you can take care about the production yourself, you're
Yeah.
gonna take 50% because you still can't do the promotion yourself, right? Meanwhile, so that's for uh, artists working
Yeah.
towards trying to make it in music, like what you were describing in your case. At the same time, it's fun because the same ratio is being proposed to people
Yeah.
like on TikTok that actually got the audience because they made
Yeah.
something that went viral, right? And the deals that I've heard about personally, so it's not like proven statistics, right? But the deals that some of these influencers, like the artists that became influencers not on purpose, but basically they created
Yes.
their own audience
Yes.
on a social platform. Now the labels rather say, okay, now it's
Yeah.
the other way around. We can help you become an artist and promote yourself properly on other platforms, but
Yeah.
because you already have your audience,
Yeah.
we also give you 50-50. But in that case, it's a bit weird though, because in your case, you don't have the audience, so you give up 50% of your equity to access an audience thanks to
Yeah.
the marketing they will do for you. In the case of the influencers, right, or people
Yeah.
that
That already has the yeah.
went viral on Instagram or TikTok, yeah, they
Yeah.
have the audience already. Some of them already have a song. And so the deals that are proposed to them is more like to help
Yeah.
them manage their career,
That's true.
which is very interesting that they still ask for 50% because in that case, I guess it's all about like, well, showing you how to properly record not just one hit
Yeah.
song, but like a lot, showing you how to like, I don't know, have a management team. So if you want to tour, how you're gonna like book from the venues to everything else. It would be very interesting to have these kind of flows. I'm talking with all of artists that actually are gonna show me the kind of contracts that they have, and of course everything will be confidential. But I'm really surprised because this 50-50 seems to come back more and more often, at least on the
Yeah.
recording side of things. But it's not for the same constraint.
Yeah.
Yours is reaching an audience. But the people that
They
are on
already
Instagram,
have.
for example, now, you make a hit song on Instagram,
Yeah.
They already have it. So you make a hit
Yeah.
song right now on Instagram. You reach, I don't know, 500,000, a
Mm-hmm.
million followers on Instagram. You have the audience. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
theoretically know how to make a
Yeah.
song and or perform, but the issue that you have at that level is that you don't know what kind of royalties you will have on the streaming platform, because the next step of all of this, you have music production, then you have
Yeah.
marketing to reach an audience, and then
Yeah.
you have monetization, right? And so the interesting part is that here, why, if you're able, so in your case, for example, like you have a
Yeah.
normal following on
Yeah.
Instagram, which is totally normal, right? But let's imagine someone went viral with a
Yeah.
song, a proper artist, right? They have a song, they have the music production capabilities, they have the audience, they just miss the monetization part. And this is why we come back
Yeah.
again to the royalty model, which is that, which matters, because if you don't sign with the person distributing your music that had a leverage in the
Mm-hmm.
negotiations with the streaming platforms, then the rate per stream that you're going to
It's
receive
lower.
is going to be lower than
Yeah.
if you sign with someone else. If you're just distributing on your own, chances are that on Instagram you were big, but no one will ever see you on
Yeah.
Deezer, SoundCloud, or Spotify, because the issue is that over there you have a brand new ecosystem of influence, which is called
Yeah.
mainly
I know.
playlists.
I think it's the way you're putting it is very very interesting. I agree. And well, for example, I worked with an influencer last year here in Argentina. She's well, I won't give names, of course. It's confidential, but it is she is an influencer with many followers, like I don't know, 1 million followers in TikTok. Here is in Argentina is it's pretty much, and maybe also I don't know 800,000 in Instagram. I don't remember, but she was just an influencer of makeup and general
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But she wanted to start making music, so this company took her and called me to produce her music, and but just because she was already she already has her followers.
So
Yeah,
that's
it's
the perfect
exactly the
example.
same.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
this is where you
but
find.
what is interesting also
Yes.
is that this girl, because it's a girl, it's not a woman, she was so happy that someone wanted to pay for her musicians and her productions and everything, that she almost didn't say a word about percentage 50-50 or whatever. She didn't care. She Because in Argentina it's so difficult for someone to pay for making a really professional production. It's maybe, I don't know, for one
Mm-hmm.
song maybe it's 1 or 2 thousand dollars or something. It's pretty much. She was. I had to tell her, okay, so when are you going to make a contract? Yes. Okay, tell me about it. I want to help you to 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 have what you deserve. Because she.
So that's that's
Yeah.
that's that's awesome to share the knowledge like this, because that's how a lot of younger
That's.
artists get stuck into
Yeah.
this rat race, because
No,
they don't think
and
about it at
I
first.
think this girl, for example, she went famous without any effort, and really, I think without wanting to, just making content, and followers started to to grow, and more followers, and when she was a little famous, she didn't really knew how to manage like professionally what she was becoming. And when she started to make music,
Mm.
she didn't know at all anything about contracts, about what is your royalties for composing, for playing, if you are the composer or not, which is the difference, blah blah blah. She didn't know anything, so I had to handle her a little to help her, and well, it is like a perfect example of what you were talking about.
It's 100%, and that's why, like, I think that I know that there is a kind of stigma in music that business or money,
Yeah.
it's dirty to talk about it, right? And I'm actually telling everyone, I'm like,
Well,
no, it's not. Like, if you're trying to monetize your art, like think about how it's going to happen, because if there's an exchange of value at
yeah,
a certain point in time, it means that you have
yeah,
legal aspects involved. It means that you have a lot of things to think about. And so thinking about
yeah.
it doesn't mean
No,
that you're
no, no.
greedy, doesn't mean that you do something bad. It just means that you're trying to make the work that you're putting
Well,
in front of
I'm a
other
Beatles fan,
people
so I had
to
Taxman,
work to be
and I'm a
seen.
Pink Floyd fan, so I had Have a Cigar that had songs that speak about that, you know. And I also had the example of my mother. As I told you before, my mother is a well-known singer here in Argentina. So in the 2000s, in 20 years ago, 25 years ago, she was already famous, but Spotify was arriving. So she signed with with in
Yep.
that moment her company, the company that it's the owner of his recordings, her recordings. So it was like a clause. You say a clause in a contract, like okay, like a clause of
Yeah. Yeah.
about
Yeah.
digital distribution of her recordings. But in 25 years ago, she didn't know what she was signing because it wasn't really something big music. We still use CDs, but
Yeah.
that clause in that contract lasted for I don't know, I remember exactly, but maybe 10 or 15 years. So after 10 years, it was huge, the money that she missed, because she started to have million reproductions in Spotify and Apple Music and in all the platforms. But she has signed this clause that she didn't care in that moment about distribution of digital music. So she has to
So let
yeah,
me recap,
yeah,
just to be sure that I understood properly. So your mom, that was big in
yeah,
Argentina in 2000, signed
yeah,
a label,
yeah,
a contract, and in it
yeah,
there was a clause mentioning, I guess, that she would not touch
exactly.
royalties on
No, no.
digital
The
formats,
clause it
right? And
was
at that time, I
that
guess,
for her it was
okay,
10% and 90% for the company about digital distribution.
okay, so she signed the record label contract she signed at that time without knowing what
Correct.
digital would become. It was like the split was
Exactly.
90-10 on
Exactly.
digital revenue, and Spotify arrives a few years later and
Exactly.
suddenly you're missing out. It's super interesting you talk about that, because I shared also some videos about a lot of other people that explain how difficult it is
Yeah.
to navigate as a landscape. And some people are just like, why you didn't read the contract? So, for example, in that case, in 2000s, no one was able to know that streaming was going to become
Absolutely
big.
no one.
Like 4G
Absolutely
didn't
no one.
even
I
exist.
remember. Yeah.
But what is
No, no, I remember
go ahead,
like
sorry.
10 years ago, like 2015, I told her, so what? Because I didn't know in that moment how was her contracts. I'm not her. I'm her son, but I'm not her. So I didn't know. So I asked her, what about Spotify reproductions? You have like a million reproductions in YouTube and in Spotify, blah. And she told me, I really don't know. Do you want to ask my agent? Okay, so I asked her agent, and he told me what I told you, like 10% and 90%. And I told him, okay, we had to change that because no one is buying any CDs now. So all the money that she has to make, it's on digital recording. So we had a conversation with the company. It was okay. Never mind. I won't speak about everything, but you understand what I mean. Like times
Mm.
were changing,
Yeah,
and it's difficult to keep up.
that's why for now, and also, like, I guess at that time there
Yep.
is. Are you still with me? Yeah. Sorry,
It's okay.
sometimes like I don't see you. I think at that time, um, it was harder. Also, the internet was not a thing, right? Versus right now, you have that. So you have people that even try now to create some AI services where you can just like put
Yeah.
your contract, whatever it is, publishing, recording, you put it there, and it's gonna literally tell you what are like the obvious tricks or ways that a company would have to take potentially advantage of you not knowing what this means legally. I tell everyone it's more difficult, I think, that people assume, because a lot of people, I think, like that come from the same background that I did. Like you used to work for a company, and you hear about these artists getting screwed over millions, and just like, well, you don't read the
Yeah.
contract, dummy. And I'm telling all of them is that a lot of time it's very, very
Yeah.
difficult to actually understand it. And that, for example, here in London, like the lawyers are not cheap. Like it's above like 400-500 an hour, and it's really something that is very
Yeah.
difficult to navigate these contracts because your mind,
Yeah.
especially if you're creative, sometimes just doesn't work this way. Where you just, I don't know, like you said, the sentence, like just a
Yeah.
digital
Yeah, and I
format.
think that it's
Seriously, like you don't wanna. It's difficult, I guess, to put yourself in the shoes of someone that is just like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I made it. So you have all this rush of energy, and you're just like, oh, someone wants to bet on me, and you're so happy, and you have two words that could literally impact a
Yeah,
revenue stream
that's
for
true.
10 years.
You know, last week I was
It's
speaking with my label, with the president. That it's a really nice guy, and he told me that they sent emails to all the artists for them to go to register when they make a gig, they play live. Like, tell me that you are doing it because you're earning money for that. But he told me that
yeah,
most of the artists don't do it. Like, they forget.
it's because so this is a perfect example. So here, like in London, also in the States, like you have a lot of this. The startup scene is trying to adapt to it. It's just that in music, it's difficult to convince people
Yeah,
to innovate, right? Because things move slowly. Why? It's because it's not user-generated content like on YouTube or Instagram.
yeah,
It's copyrighted content, and so you have a lot of legal
yeah,
implications if you do something. But a lot of people are trying to support on that. That's why I keep on saying like, inform yourself. I tell everyone, ask me anything. If I can help, I will. And that's the only thing we can do is to spread the
we,
information as much as possible and to say that we also
yeah,
maybe don't know everything, but go to that person, or read this website. A lot of resources. You have a lot of like the musician
yeah.
coalition, I
That's
think.
great.
A
You know,
lot of
here
people. They are really trying.
yeah,
You're still here?
I'm here.
Okay,
What
so
I wanted to
let's
tell you
just
about
admit
what you sorry,
this is
just
yeah.
about what you were saying before I left. It's that, for example, we had a WhatsApp group here with many musicians. I don't know, maybe we are 500 musicians in that group, just to speak about this. And you know, when someone has
Oh,
some a question, or doesn't know how to work, to how the work works, or doesn't know where the money is coming from, or where to where, well, you understand what I mean. I'm mixing up with my English,
yeah.
but I think I do you understand.
No worries.
So we ask in the WhatsApp group. So I'm doing this. I have this gig, or I'm making this recording. I signed with this label. So what should I be? You know, aware of something? Should I aware of something that I'm not doing? I'm not aware of, or and we help each other in that WhatsApp group, and we find it very helpful because we share our experiences, and maybe more experienced musicians. I myself consider I'm an experienced musician because many of the of the people in that WhatsApp group are 20, 22. So we can say, okay, be aware of this, be aware of that. You should go to this place to take you and sign this kind of contract, not the other. Show. So we help each other in that way, and we find it very helpful.
This is amazing. Like you have also like yeah, so a WhatsApp group to share information about
Yeah.
how to properly sign the contract, ensuring that you check the internet
Everything. Also,
for
how much we
anything.
agree
Yeah,
on
exactly.
what we our prices on in the gigs. How much to I'm not say I don't know how to say in English, but how much we must earn to play a gig, and in a recording for a sessionist player, a session musician, how many. Are you understanding me? Because I
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, you used
WhatsApp group.
this WhatsApp group to share information to ensure that no one can do
Exactly.
arbitrage over the other artist. So you say like, hey, when I played that gig on Monday,
Yeah,
I got paid 40, and someone plays it on Friday, and they say someone offered me 20, and you say like,
exactly.
no, no, keep the tariff right
Thank you.
there
Thank you
because
for
otherwise we're gonna
Thank you for
lowball each other.
translating me, because you got it perfectly.
No, no, no. I thought it's totally understandable. It's totally, you know what is very interesting is that um, I read an article, like total tangent, right? But I read an article about the same
Yeah,
kind of technique, right? I think it was in India, like maybe
yeah,
100 years ago, right,
yeah,
or 80 years ago, where
yeah,
fishermen, right, from different villages were not aware because they could not
yeah, of
communicate
course.
of the
Yeah,
price, right, of how you could actually sell your
yeah,
fish when you come back in the morning. And so you have some companies that were specialized in what's called arbitrage, right, to basically ensure that the
yeah,
prices were high or low. And so you say, oh wow, if I buy in that city down south, this city down south, I can have the, I don't know, 1 kilo of fish for
exactly,
1 pound, and over
exactly,
there they ask for two. So I can tell them, hey, the other ones are doing it for one, and so
exactly.
you lower the price. As soon as, and this is called arbitrage, what is very interesting is that as soon as
Yeah,
cell phones arrived,
yeah,
these totally disappeared. All these companies that were doing arbitrage totally disappeared because the fishermen were actually communicating to each other the way they
well,
were going to
that's
price
exactly what
the
we do.
fish. And so middlemen could not use the lack of information to do actually social arbitrage. And you do
Exactly.
the
That's
same thing
exactly what we
with
do.
music.
Exactly, exactly. And I think it's what I'm really happy with the, because it's also like a community feeling, you know, that we start having that
Yeah.
we didn't have like 20 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah. So what we were saying just before, it's very interesting because it's correlated to like kind of like like the thesis we have on the market, right? The the more you share and
yeah,
spread information, the lower the
yeah.
arbitrage
That's true.
opportunities will be there. I have to rephrase that. The more you share
The
information,
less,
the less likely you are to be submitted to
exactly,
an
exactly.
arbitrage opportunity.
That's it.
So I'm an artist. I play here for 20.
For
Someone
40,
else asked another artist to play for 10. If the two artists
exactly.
talk to each other, they can maintain the price at 20. But if they don't, and if they are siloed, then middlemen can use the
Their advantage.
situation
Yeah,
at their advantage and
yeah.
make money
In
with
that,
arbitrage. It's interesting because that's the same thing that happened right now
okay.
digitally. People are not aware that other people, central platforms, are using your attention or your music to route your money in a ways that privileges and
Yeah,
favor
yeah.
them. It's the same. It's literally the same. When we discussed about a royalty model at the beginning, it's because right now when you put your music on DSPs, you have no clue how the
Yeah,
other
that's
artists are
exactly
being
the
paid.
same. Yeah,
It's the
that's
same.
amazing.
Exactly. Except at the moment you can't, which is why
Yeah,
the new model we propose is gonna literally kill this in the egg because there is no advantage at the
yeah.
royalty model level.
And
It's
your fan.
you and your fan,
It's
and
amazing.
that's it.
I
Yeah.
really support your ideas and your proposals, at least what I understand of them. I'm really happy, and I gotta go. But I thank you for having this conversation. It was really constructive, and I found it really funny also. And well, I will keep keeping up with you and your content and your in your Instagram, and I hope it goes well with your proposals because I found it very interesting. And if you need something from someone in South America, you know you can count on me.
I appreciate. And soon you're gonna have your music on Listen, so you're gonna be able to
Okay,
actually test
it
what we
will
have
be
been
my
discussing
pleasure.
today. I appreciate Rafael. Thanks a lot, and
Thanks
have a
to
great
you,
day.
and I hope to be in England soon because I really wanna. I never was there. I was in Europe, but not in London, and I hope we can meet someday. Nos
Vale,
vemos.
pues
Hasta
nos
luego.
vemos.